When I was young, I used to be a fan of all the old-time TV shows like The Twilight Zone, and of course I loved magic and I loved animals. I studied veterinary medicine in Italy, all the while paying my way through school with magic. I really like doing coin magic in the hospital because a little boy or girl comes in worried about their sick dog or cat, and all I have to do is pull a coin out of that dog's ear, and their frown turns into a smile. Dogs and cats can't tell you what's going on. You have to figure that out, and that's the challenge. The challenge of magic is to find a new way to do an effect that makes it look even more impressive. I like to tell people that I have a love of magic, but my life is veterinary medicine.
Not bad for a day's work, right?
Of course, on other days, it's the other way around.
Please welcome the coin magic of Dr. Michael Rubinstein.
I've always enjoyed watching reruns of my favorite classic TV show, The Twilight Zone. I love that each episode revolves around tales of the strange, the macabre, and the magical. Tonight, I'd like to combine my love of that show with my passion for coin magic and tell you a story created especially for this occasion. So please, allow me to channel my best Rod Serling as I take you all on a magical journey into the Fool Zone. You walk through the doors of this theater and enter a magical dimension. A dimension of Penn, a dimension of Teller, a dimension of prestidigitation. You're put into a suggestive state of smoke and mirrors. You just punched your ticket for the Fool Zone. The word alchemy, by definition, the magical mutation of metal, a mythical power often attributed to wizards from a time long since passed by. But although myths are dismissed as tales of fantasy left to be told to gullible children, there exists within each of them a modicum of truth. And to that, I point you toward an incident which occurred back in 1931. The place, a street in the center of London. And if you were to look through the crowd, you might see on the corner a man shining shoes. That man is George Midas, a poor man, beat down by the hardships of his life. But in a few brief moments, that life will change. For George Midas is about to receive a golden opportunity to enter the Fool Zone. So there's George shining shoes. At the end of the day, he takes a look into his tip cup, but he didn't do very well. 1, 2, 3, 4 old and dusty copper pennies. Not even enough to buy his evening's meal. And he realized that once again he'd have to go home hungry and talk to his wife about the poverty in which they lived. He picked up one of the old and dusty pennies and without thinking removed a speck of dust. But when he looked back, George was surprised to see a coin of gold, solid gold. George couldn't believe his eyes, but he realized that with all of that gold, he now had enough money to pay all of his back rent. He put that coin away for safekeeping and picked up the second old and dusty penny. Just like the first, he removed a speck of dust, and like the first, that coin changed to gold, solid gold. And as George gazed upon that shiny gold penny, he realized that he now had enough money to put food on the table for a month. He put that coin away as well, and picked up the third old and dusty penny. With hands now trembling, he removed a speck of dust, and as before, that coin changed to gold, solid gold. George's smile got bigger, for he realized that he now had enough money to buy brand new clothes for his entire family. And as he put that coin away, George spied one last coin sitting on the table. He picked it up and he pondered, could the magic happen yet one more time? He rubbed that coin on his sleeve, revealing once again a coin of gold, solid gold. But as George played around with that shiny gold penny, he stopped thinking of all of the good and wondrous things he was going to do for his family. For you see, George now realized that he had the power, and he was going to use that power not for good, but to get back at all of the people who beat him down and put him into a state of poverty. And at that very moment, that shiny gold penny changed back to copper. When George saw what had happened, his smile faded, for he realized that the magic had only been fleeting. And in fact, when he took a look back into his cup, he found that all of the shiny gold had changed back to copper. And as George looked on in despair, it was as if you could hear the voice of Rod Serling, who said, "Yes, George Midas, a man who possessed a true gift, a real Midas touch. But gifts used for the wrong reasons can also be taken away. Back to the refund counters, found only in the stores of the Fool Us Zone. Thank you.
Dr. Michael Rubinstein. Oh, hi. Nice to meet you. Oh, I love the Twilight Zone as well.
Thank you. One of my favorites.
Yeah, so I really liked the ambience. And you use actual, like, old coins, I heard.
I do. I think that older coins are more interesting, and of course there's an intrinsic value. So these coins that I used were like from 1915.
That's
so
fantastic.
it really fits the ambiance of the Twilight Zone there, being the old England.
Is this your favorite coin trick?
Yes, it's basically a piece of magical theater that's developed over the course of the last 30 years. I've done it in different ways, but I really built it up so that it's more like, as I said, a piece of theater, where the magic is only like part of the story. It's not the story, but it basically complements the story.
That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Okay, Penn and Teller are ready. Let's see if you fooled them. Penn, Teller?
Ah, Dr. Michael, very nice. Very, very nice. In magic, people do storytelling all the time, but not in coin magic. Coin magic is usually, there's this, then it changed to something else. And you just had a whole story behind there that just kept us spellbound. It was just wonderful how you told the whole thing through there. We're both big Twilight Zone fans, so we absolutely loved that. I love that it gave a justification. Usually the coins are just color changing, and you actually gave them value change and gave a story. We found it really interesting that on many coins, it has e pluribus unum as the symbol of the United States of America. But since Teller was a Latin scholar, a little bit more of how you did it was ex uno plura, more than the other way around. We also are going to just use a little bit of jargon here, because I love doing that. And we're just going to say something magician to magician. There was a nice variation on the Ramsey subtlety that we saw you doing. But we loved it there, and I think we probably, with Latin and magic terms, I think maybe we got some stuff there. You agree with us?
I don't speak Latin.
One thing I would ask is, the most important part of this trick for me is how the cleanliness in which the trick finished. And I was wondering if that was important for you. Because when you deal with 4 dirty coins, you got to keep your hands clean.
Yeah, well, that to us, although we loved it, was not that important a matter.
Well, that meant nothing to me. Did it mean something to you?
Yes, it did.
Okay, so
They're good.
You didn't fool them? Well, thank you, Dr. Michael Rubinstein. Someone is going to catch Penn and Teller off guard eventually. It just might happen after this, so stick around.